Okay. Let's see if I'm live. Haven't done this for a while. Let's see, am I live? I think I'm live. Okay. So, let's hope if Romina Russell. I just sent her the invitation. 1 second, please. Let's see. Okay. If you guys are watching this right now, and I hope people are, I will be talking to Romina Russell, who is the author of the ZODIAC series, which involves Zodiac and Wandering Star. So let's hope that Romina is here soon. And if not, then everything's just gonna go to hell. So let's just take a look at YouTube for a quick second. Okay, so you guys can submit your questions via Twitter, hashtag the Zodiac Stars, or you can tweet us at J_Debray710 or at Romina_Russell. I think that's her username. I'm not sure. So let me just tweet that I'm live right now. Oops, let me put I am live right now. Hopefully Romina is going to come pretty soon. Oh, I should have tweeted this earlier. So if Romina is going to come, and if she's not, then I'll be. Ooh.
Hi.
Hi, Romina.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
That is totally fine. Okay. So I just tweeted that we are live right now.
Awesome.
So you can tweet too if you wish. So
doing it.
Good. Okay.
Did you? Oh, okay. I'll find your tweet and I'll just
retweet it. Okay.
Cool.
All right. So I do have a couple questions before we get to the Twitter questions. So, so my first question is, what was the process like of getting published? Like a few months, a few weeks to get it published, or was it just a really quick process?
So what's funny is, like, I've been writing for a long time, probably about 10 years or so. And prior to Zodiac, I have probably 6 manuscripts I've written that I've tried shopping to agents or whatever and been completely rejected. So Zodiac is coming on the cusp of an almost decade-long slump of just, rejection after rejection and attempt after attempt. So I preface it with this because the actual process of Zodiac was so fast that I don't want to give the wrong impression. I definitely struggled and I have one book in particular that was the first one I started that I've been working on for almost the entire time, 10 years. So again, very hard, strenuous process. But with Zodiac, it actually happened where I had a job and I was working full time, and I was very unhappy and I was piling up rejections and all that good stuff. And then my boyfriend at the time was just kind of like, listen, you're living this life that's not your dream. You want to be this author and you're not putting your all into it. And that's why you haven't gotten published yet. Why don't you just kind of do it, take a leap of faith and try. I was like, okay, that's very easy to say, but I have to pay rent. I have, whatever. And he's like, I'll support us while you do this. And I'm not joking, 3 months or 4 tops to the day, I had a contract for Zodiac in my hand. And so
really?
I really believe that, it's thanks to someone having that kind of faith in me that I had the faith in myself. And he's actually my best friend still. His name's Russell. And that's why I took the pen name Romina Russell. To remember yeah, to always remember how important your friends are, you know, along the way, whatever sort of form that relationship takes, it doesn't matter, you know? So yeah, so kind of a strange process for Zodiac, but yeah, that was like really fast. Zodiac was the fastest book I've written. I wrote it, the first draft, in 5 weeks, which was insane. I was very sick after turning that in. But like Wandering Star and Black Moon took far more normal amounts of time. I probably took, 2 to 3 months on each one for the first draft. So that was far more normal.
Well, you said 5 weeks, right, to write Zodiac? Well, that's kind of fast because this world is really big. It's huge.
Yes.
So that's kind of surprising about the fact that it's this huge sci-fi world, like a Star Trek, Star Wars world, and it only took like 5 weeks. So that's pretty surprising.
Obviously in editing, we took our time. But as far as, the first draft was just 5 weeks. But before that, the first thing I did for Zodiac and I do this with every book I write, even if it's set in our own world, is I create what I call a world Bible for that universe. Even when it's our own world, it's like you're creating a very specific world for your character. So you need to know everything. And I love quoting Alan Watts, who once said, we're not born into this world, we're born from it, which is such an interesting distinction because, we are what we are, the biological sort of species that we are, because we're born from this particular earth, and so it's very important to kind of establish the rules of the universe, your character, the soil that your characters are born in pretty much, before you kind of know who they are. So with Zodiac and with everything else, I did do a world Bible where I built out all 13 houses and all the information.
Oh my gosh.
Plotting, la 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 la, and then I dove into the writing.
Whoa. Okay, so let me just say before I get to the next question, you have the best luck with book covers I've ever seen.
About it.
Ever.
No. Like, I am so lucky, and because authors have so little say with stuff like this, that it's amazing that I lucked out. And Vanessa Hahn, just all the shout outs in the world to her, because she's brilliant and she's the designer.
Wow.
Her name's on the cover as well, because like she's fantastic. I'm so lucky to have been paired to work with her. I mean, that was totally the stars, it's like I have no say in that. And Black Moon, have you seen the cover for Black Moon?
It's amazing.
I love it.
Which cover is your favorite?
Good question. What's funny? I was literally thinking about this the other day because we're now getting into the 4th book cover. And as we start talking about that, I was thinking like, the covers that exist, which one would I say is my favorite? I think when it's all said and done, I'm going to be giving a different answer. Like, I think like once the series is out and everything's done and I have some distance from it, I'm going to say that Zodiac is my favorite cover, because I do think objectively, it's so striking, it's so beautifully done, and it's what got the attention for the series, is that first cover. Right now, my favorite is Black Moon because I'm so excited for it, and because it's different, it feels bold, like it feels like it took a chance, but I really do think Zodiac will end up being sort of the image we'll take away from this series.
Yeah. Well, the 3rd book has a much darker cover than these two.
Yes.
This one kind of has a mix of like a bright and a dark cover, because there's the dark blue up here and then the red down here.
Right.
This one has like gold, orange, yellow, and then into like a little bit of green and then blue.
Yes.
And I think this one is actually my favorite. It's actually, it's so colorful and it's so amazing.
I love it. It's so different, right? Like the balance is so unbalanced that it becomes like really striking in a cool way. I love that one. I think that Wandering Star is the one that's more beautiful in person than it is as just a digital file. Whereas like with Zodiac, and obviously we don't know about Black Moon yet, I think that they're very beautiful digital files. And in person, they're very nice, but like with Wandering Star, you can't quite capture all that detail in a photograph, It's just so striking. Yeah, I agree with you.
So this question is a weird one, and I don't know if you can respond to this, but could the Zodiac series work as a fantasy than a sci-fi?
Could it work as what?
Can it work as a fantasy series or a sci-fi series?
So the way we market it is as both. So it's sci-fi meets fantasy. And the reason that that's important in my case is that I am just awful at math and science. Like I just like wrote, like just awful. And I've always wanted to write a sci-fi because I think space is so cool and all the concepts and constructs of space that comes with like being ever expanding, infinity, you know, like what is existence, all those big questions that come up when we think of outer space are fascinating to me. And I was like, all right, look, I'm never going to be able to come up with the real answers myself because I am just not gifted for that stuff. But probably using my imagination, I can get there and I could come up with my own sort of theories and explore my own ideas. And so, but I never really trusted myself to fully go sci-fi because of those limitations. And so meshing it with fantasy was so key, you know, because it kind of waters down the science. It makes it more fi than sci, you know, and like really lets me kind of like wherever my science fails me, like imagination takes over. And, you know, that's so much fun, obviously.
Alrighty then. Could Zodiac get a movie?
Definitely. I mean, I would love for that to happen.
Fingers crossed.
I mean, like the issue is, and I think this is an obvious one probably, but like you can't make it on the cheap. Like it can't be an indie film, you know? Yeah. So for someone to take it on, the budget has to be huge, like a, I don't know, you know, like a sci-fi film, like a Star Trek or a Star Wars, or even like at least like a, you know, a Hunger Games budget or something that like really enables it to kind of show off all the planets and all the everything. And frankly, no one's going to invest that kind of money until the series is a bestseller, you know? And so I think that like right now it's growing. It's just, you know, the second book just came out 6 months ago, you know? So I think that as it garners momentum and gains more followers and, you know, obviously it's important that right now it's in 10 languages. So that's huge, you know, and I think that that will help as well. So I think as subsequent books come out and everything, hopefully we'll see some interest from Hollywood because that would be awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be actually one of the biggest films if it gets made because it's such a huge world, such a huge universe. And, you know, the one thing I really want to see is House Cancer.
Yes.
I really want to see that because how I imagine it is like, it's a planet that's like a beachy, snowy planet. For some reason, like Hoth from Star Wars meets the castle from Frozen. I don't know.
That's awesome.
That's just how I imagine it, even though it might not be exactly how you wrote it.
Everyone can imagine it their own way, you know? I mean, that's the point. But yes. That would be amazing. Amazing. and you're right. Like there's 34 inhabited planets in the Zodiac solar system. Like, of course it's going to be like you have to really approach this as a huge project. So yeah, I think it's a huge investment, but it would be so cool.
Yeah. So that kind of leads into my next question. How did you go about making the different planets? Like did you take time to write down the traits of each zodiac and put it into a different house, or was it just kind of a pain in the butt?
I kind of thought a lot about our own world, right? And just sort of if you look at the different nations of our planet, so you look at China, say you look at the United States, say you look at Argentina, say you look at, you know, all Egypt, France, you know, wherever, like every country is its own world, you know, and in that world, like there might be a dictatorship, it might be a democratic government, it might, you know, everyone has their own sort of system and rules and culture and food and wildlife and what have you, you know, and part of that depends on the terrain itself, on the physical place, and part of that depends on the values espoused by that particular culture or race, you know, a group of people. So when I approached Zodiac, I envisioned, okay, we're going to have these 12 races. and the values of that race, of each race, are whatever the traditional traits of that zodiac sign are in our own world. So taking those values and kind of extracting from there, like, what kind of government would they design for themselves? You know, what kind of world, what kind of technology would they be interested in? What kind of culture would evolve from this kind of, you know, group of people? And then the other thing was, like, I wanted everything to kind of always tie back into the astrology and kind of the zodiac sign. So, like, for instance, my favorite one to use as an example is Scorpio, which we will do in Black Moon, and is so much fun. But basically, for designing Scorpio, I was like, okay, so Scorpio is a water element. So we've already know, like, water is an important part of it. Scorps are known for being pretty secretive. They're loners, they're mysterious, you know, they're ambitious, they're smart, but they're secretive, and they value their privacy. So I thought, like, as opposed to Cancer, who, like, where people live above the surface of the water and kind of, like, see, you know, both sort of sides, like, they would live underwater in the depths of the ocean in these water worlds, you know, which is, like, really the hardest world to penetrate for an outsider, which makes complete sense for the Scorps, who would want the most protection, you know? So it's like, you start thinking about it logically, as like you're weaving this tapestry with all the little, you know, traits of, you know, and so that from there, I'm like, okay, so if they're living underwater, what's the technology? Okay, so this is, you know, and you start to kind of build and build, and you think about, okay, well, what could they look like physically? Well, they don't get a lot of sun, obviously. So they're gonna look kind of veiny and, like, very thin, papery skin, you know, and then they might, the ones that live in the deepest water worlds will probably have red eyes because they have to cut through darkness and stuff. And so you start to kind of, like, you build that world, and you start to populate it based on what, you know, what makes most sense. Sorry, that was a long answer.
That is totally fine. I'm trying to have people come on, but I don't know why. I listed this under private, so I think they should just tweet the questions. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we can, like, share this link, you know, when we're done, for people to just check out retroactively the chat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So. Okay. All right. Let me see. Let's write this down.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, that people are.
Yeah.
Tweet us. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Whoops. Okay. So, what can you tell us about book 3, Black Moon?
So I think, and kind of just to explain for readers who maybe haven't gotten that far, I think book 1 deals largely with a teen girl sort of discovering her voice, and finding confidence and trust in herself. I think book 2, Wandering Star, deals with that girl learning how to lift herself back up when she falls and falls and falls and falls, right? You know, and kind of learning that kind of what it takes to really be a fighter. And I think book 3 has that girl kind of really facing herself. It's sort of like, this time it's personal sort of thing. And kind of, you know, the one place Ro never really looks to is the past, you know, and that's that one door that she always leaves closed. And she thinks that by moving onward and onward into the future, she can kind of escape that, like, having to look at the past. Like, the more room she puts between herself and the past, the less she has to really face it or deal with anything. And I think book 3 is where she kind of has to realize, no, like, all that stuff is still there, and it's going to catch up with you, no matter how good of a leader you are for others or how inspirational you might be for others. At the end of the day, like, you still have to deal with you, you know, and I think that's a huge part of book 3.
Yeah. So, Would you change some things that happened in Zodiac, or are you pretty pleased with how the book went?
So I think it's hard because, it's my first book. So I think, especially being a Virgo, a nitpicky perfectionist Virgo, I'm going to always have like issues with everything I do. I'm my worst critic, seriously. But I think that a big thing was, and I'm sure you felt it as a reader, is like Zodiac is long. I mean, that even the type had to be super tiny in the hardcover. It's a very long book, and there is so much ground to cover, and I think that because the plot was so, like, there were so many twists in it, and there were so many like places to go, so many setups and whatnot, we like didn't get to spend enough time on each world. Like, we didn't really get to explore each world to the level I would have wanted to. And we also didn't get to learn a lot about the characters in book one, because it's sort of one of those things where if you're catching someone on a day where like the world is under attack, you're not going to know who that person is necessarily on a day-to-day basis. You're just going to know what the part of them that emerges in that moment. And that's kind of what we get from Ro, Matthias, Hyson, and all the other characters. I mean, Nishi and Deke barely even get to be in Zodiac, so it's one of those things where you're seeing such a small part that, like, to me, I would want to show so much more, but of course the book starts to drag and get long, and you can't do that, That's why I really love getting into the deeper books of a series, because so with Wandering Star, you suddenly do get to stop and like get to know the characters and their emotions and who they are when the adrenaline is, pumping and all that. And I think that's so much more exciting, in this different way. And so I do sometimes wish that there had been the space and the plotting to do some of that for some of those moments. But at the same time, I do love the fast plotting and just the kind of like throw you in there and run, feel of it. And I think it's very different from Wandering Star. And I do like that contrast as well.
Alrighty. Let me see another question. If you had to read one book or one writer for the rest of your life, who would it be?
J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter.
Well, that was quick. So, and then this one is, pick a book title, not its story or whatever. Pick a book title that describes your current life right now. So, say, there's a book called Madness Underneath. So,
I actually
go ahead. So, like, your life can be like hectic and crazy right now, because you're finishing up book 4.
Book 3 right now. I'm finishing up, and then I'm starting book 4.
Okay. So, what book title would describe your current life right now?
So it's funny because I was asked before what the title to my autobiography would be. And I think that would be something that I once actually said in conversation to someone without even realizing how ridiculous I am. But it was, if I could act more and think less, I think I'd do it. And it's totally me. Like, I'm so inside my head that I don't act. Like, I'm the opposite of Ro. Ro, like, doesn't think things through sometimes and just acts. I think so much that, like, I don't act, And so it's it's a total reverse. But right at this very moment, the title would probably be Grumble, Grumble, Deadline, Grumble, because I'm literally miserable.
I'm so sorry. Your life is grumble, grumble, deadline. That is so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. I am so sorry. Okay. All right. Do you have a upcoming book tour soon for book 3?
I would love that. I think that there's stuff being planned for the summer a little bit. I think that there will probably be much more stuff next year, since it'll be the last book in the series, and so like I'll be able to promote the full series, and that'll be kind of a better experience, I think. But for right now, I just got back from the fair in Argentina, which was amazing. So I got to be there, and I think that now this summer I might do a little more stateside, but I don't have any details yet.
Okay.
Hopefully I will soon. I think right now they're letting me write and not bombarding me with anything, because any email I'll use as an excuse. So, oh, well, I need an extension. You made me waste time reading this email. So clearly I'm going to need more time.
Yeah. So book 4 is the last book, right?
Yes.
Do you know how you are going to end the series? Because we've had some pretty hectic, crazy, disappointing book series finales.
Yeah.
So do you know how you're gonna wrap up the series? Or are you just gonna write it and see what happens?
I always enter a book knowing generalities, so I know like the big tentpole moments. But I try to let sort of the characters and the plot guide me, sort of thing. Like I'll have an outline, but I'll leave room for the
like a free roam.
Yeah, so right now with book 4, I think I know certain things, like I know big things, but I couldn't give specifics because I kind of let the character stuff, come of it as a result of every decision they make. The action, the fallout. But yeah, I know some pretty big things that are coming that I'm really excited to write.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm pretty much done with the questions, but I just want to praise you for a second. ZODIAC is one of the best series I've ever read.
I love
you. But seriously, someone said, dude, you need to read ZODIAC. I go, well, what is ZODIAC? Because I've never heard of this book until last year. Like probably July. I think that's when I read it. And I was just like, fine, I'll read it, because I was not in a sci-fi mood. I was in a fantasy supernatural. I was like, well, this seems high sci-fi, so I might as well just give it a chance. I devoured this book in a week.
Oh my god.
Good. You don't even know.
That is so awesome.
But I was this is my fault, this is not your fault. The terms, I was getting the terms mixed up. I was like, wait, are you a Cancer? No. You're no, you're Cancer. You are the main character. You are Cancer. But your writing style is so amazing. It reminds me of Laini Taylor.
Yeah.
Daughter
yes.
Malcolm Bone. Yes. And that's a huge compliment, because her writing style is amazing. So
thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And
sorry.
I have not read Wandering Star, confession, but I'm really excited to read it because I love ZODIAC so much. It was actually on my list of favorite books of 2015.
Well, I'm so glad, first of all, that I didn't give any Wandering Star spoilers away. I'm like now mentally going back. But second, I actually saw your review for ZODIAC. I loved everything you said about ZODIAC. Seriously, when I heard from you, I knew exactly who you were. So it really moved me. So thank you.
Oh, we got two questions. Can we spare some time for 2 questions?
Yes.
Okay, so one question is from BLVD of Books. I don't know how you say that. What is one message in your series you hope readers will grasp?
So I think there's 2 huge threads in the series that mean everything to me. One is finding your voice and finding yourself. Like, I think too often we think, superheroes or saviors have to have a special power or come with a special ability, and they really don't. I mean, like, how do you stop a world where technology can always be topped, weapons can always be better, and more accessible, and people are smarter and they and learning new workarounds around rules and stuff like that. Like, you're not going to stop it with a bigger gun, because someone will always make a bigger gun. And so I really think that the most important thing to kind of cut through all of that nonsense is us, and is inspiring hope. Like, hope is the most powerful weapon we have, and we underestimate it, and I think that for Ro and for us reading it, finding that all Ro does is tell the truth. She's put in a position where she can speak the truth to power, and have more access than other people, but she doesn't have a special skill, and so I think it's really important that like as people we realize that like all this stuff we see in the news and all the awful things going on, we do have more power than we realize. We can stand up and we can say no and we can make our voices heard. And it might not happen in one moment. It might not all happen in the span of our first book, you know, but like it's a process, and it starts with speaking up and speaking out. And that's why I think that's a huge part of it. And the second thing is what we touched on earlier about kind of drawing the parallels between the nations of our planet and the nations of Zodiac, and how important it is that we start communicating, that we not view each other as these separate sort of entities, if not, but like as people who share the same planet and all one species, or all human beings, you know, and kind of remembering that, and that violence shouldn't be the solution to everything. You know, sometimes talking goes, you know, is much better, and kind of also remembering our different point of views, right? Because like Ro doesn't get along with the representatives from Scorpio or certain houses simply because they're using their own worldview and applying it to her actions, as opposed to really understanding who she is and where she's coming from with her, with you know, what she's experienced in her actions, and trying to see stuff from her perspective. And that's something that books teach us in general, you know, but I think is a very important thing to take away from the series.
Yeah. Well, Ro has a lot of courage when she needs that courage because of what happened with Cancer, yeah, and with the different Zodiac houses. It seems like she didn't have a choice, that she just had to come out with courage and being, yeah, brave. It kind of reminded me of Katniss in, yes, Mockingjay.
Totally.
Even though she did not at all want to be the Mockingjay, she had to be, because she, thanks to her, she set off this huge revolution.
Exactly.
You know, attacking the Capitol, you know, as the Mockingjay, with her with Gale, Peeta, Finnick, and then she's like, you know what? I think I did this. I think I can get this courage, and that's what Ro basically did in Zodiac. And actually, one of my favorite quotes is actually at the very end. It was on this long sentence about we are Leos, we are Scorpios, yeah, we are. Yeah, that is my favorite quote, because she realizes that all these houses are brought together, and then they have to come together to defeat this 13th sign.
Yes.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yes. Thank you.
And yeah. And the second question is there going to be another main character from Aquarius? I'd really love to discover more about them.
Yes, there is. And there is a new Aquarian character in Wandering Star. And then in Black Moon, we will visit House Aquarius. So, which is maybe my favorite of all the houses to write. And I was really surprised at that, because it was the one I least sort of had formulated in my mind. I was kind of like, I hope this one comes to me, you know? And oh my God, it was so much fun to write. So I cannot wait to share Black Moon, seriously.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. You're a Virgo, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't remember Zodiac. Did we go to Virgo or?
I mean, I don't want to give a spoiler, but yes, we do go to Virgo.
Okay. It's been a while since I read Zodiac. So, one more thing before we go. Describe the Zodiac series in 5 words without spoiling the series.
Ooh. But like just any 5 words, or like a sentence?
5 words.
Okay. I would say adventure.
Okay.
Adventurous. Imaginative. Action-packed. Romantic. And tragic.
Okay. Well, tragic is a definite big theme, especially in the prologue of Zodiac.
So sad.
but we're not going to talk about that because that was really tragic. So thank you again. Thank you for talking with me. Even though we had problems with the Google Hangout, but
we'll share it, and I'll share it whenever you send it to me. That's fine.
Okay, we managed though, so we still talked.
Yeah.
So one more praise. I still love the Zodiac book, and I cannot wait to read the second book, third book, and fourth book. And I don't think you realize how much of an impact Zodiac had, because I am trying to get published, and I didn't know that I wanted to write sci-fi until I read Zodiac and Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, because that didn't have a big sci-fi thing like Zodiac does, because Zodiac is this huge sci-fi adventurous world, and I'm actually writing a sci-fi book right now because of you.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that's so wonderful. I'm so happy for you, and thank you for telling me that. That makes me so happy.
And I was actually kind of scared because I was trying to write a sci-fi fantasy book, but it was just not working because I was having orcs come out of like the sun, and it was just really, really bad. But then I read this, and someone told me it was a mix of sci-fi and fantasy, and I read it, and I was like, this is a really good combo, because when you think of sci-fi, you don't think of fantasy, but with this, you think of fantasy and sci-fi, because it does have a fantasy Lord of the Rings feel to it.
Yes.
With a Star Wars backdrop, of course.
Right.
So I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the series, and hopefully we get a movie. Let's keep our fingers crossed for a movie, or possibly a TV show. I'll take either one.
Same here.
I'll take either one, and I hope you come to Portland, Oregon soon, so I can meet you in person.
I've never been. I would love to.
Yeah. Well, since we actually met via computer, I actually do want to meet you in person.
Yes, I would love that.
Yes. And can you send out one message to your Spanish reading fans?
Of course.
Go ahead.
A todos los lectores que estén mirando este video en este momento, les mando un besote enorme, los quiero un montón. A los de Argentina ya los extraño. Y bueno, y al resto los espero conocer pronto.
All right. And can you send a message out to your English-speaking friends? Because we have no idea what the hell you said.
Yes.
So
I love you guys. I hope to meet more of you as the books come out. I've only really been touring like in California and Florida, which are randomly like my two states, but I'm hoping that changes and I get to meet the rest of you, and I love you guys. Mwah!
Thank you, Romina. I heart you.
I heart you. Thank you so much for this. This was such a nice break from deadline, and now I'm going back. Thank you.
I wish you luck, and don't rip out your beautiful hair, because that's one of my biggest fears with being a writer is deadline.
No, it's
that makes me want to swallow Tic Tacs, because that's awful. The deadlines sound awful. So
they are, but they also get your juices going. You know, it's like you get really creative when sometimes like when a deadline's approaching. So it's good. It's good. Right. But good luck with your writing as well.
Thank you. And have a nice day, and I'll see you whenever.
Soon. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.